Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. This is the second part of the walkthrough for the foundation exam for 2018, the non-calculator one. And the last part, the last video, we did the first 14 questions, so we're going to carry on from 15. Let's see how far we can get. Alright, this question says work out 15% of 160 grams. So we can do this a few ways. I'm going to show you a couple of ways of doing this. So let's start off with 10%. I'll find 10% of 160, and that's going to be equal to 160 divided by 10, which is 16 grams. So 5% be half of 16. 16 divided by 2, which is 8 grams. And to get 15%, we can do 16 plus 8, which is equal to 24 grams. That's one way to do it. Nice and simple. Another way I probably do it in a different color is, you can change it into a fraction. 15 out of 100 times 160. And then what we could do is try and simplify. So you can divide both of these by 10. 160 divided by 10 is 16, and then 10 divided by 10 is 10, and 15 and 10 come in the 5 times table. So divide by 5, that becomes 2, divided by 5, that becomes 3, and then I can divide 2 by 2, that becomes 1. I can divide 16 by 2, that becomes 8, and then 3 times 8 is 24. And the last way I'm going to show you is 15% as a decimal is 15 divided by 100, which is 0.15, and you can do 0.15 times 160. So you do 160 times 0.15. I'm going to use Jalos here to multiply. You can multiply it any way you want. Let's see, just some boxes. This quickly. Okay, so I'll do the multiplication in 0 in yellow, sorry. So 1 times 0 is 0, and then 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1, and 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30, and wait 1 second. Let me start this multiplication again, sorry about that. I forgot the, okay, let's just get rid of this. Alright, let's start again. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, so I add down this way in each of these tubes. So this one's going to be 0, 0, 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 5 is 14. Carry the 1 up, and that'll be 1 plus 1 plus 1. That'll be just 2. And the decimal point will be here. So this answer will be also 160 times 0.15. And you can do the multiplication any way you want. You'll get 24. Anyway, moving on to the next question. P is equal to 4x plus y. Alright, I like the substitution questions. What I like to do is get rid of the letters and replace them with brackets. So what I'm going to do is have a pair of brackets, put 5 plus 3, pair of brackets, minus 2. When there's no sign between a number and a pair of brackets, or a letter and a pair of brackets, that means it's multiplying. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. 20 minus 6 is 14. Alright, expand 4e times e plus 2. So 4e times e plus 2. 4e times e is 4e squared. 4e times 2 is 8e. Alright, let's go to the next one. Okay, 3m minus 4 equals 20. 3 brackets m minus 4. Again, like the previous question, we expand this. So that'll be 3m. 3 times m is 3m. 3 times minus 4 is minus 12. Equals 21. And to get rid of the minus 12, I add 12 both sides. Because I want... Alright. That's going to be equal to 33. And you're left over with 3m here. And then you divide both sides by 3. That gives you m equals 11. You can check your answer. 11 minus 4 is 7. 3 times 7 is 21. Right, next question. There are some chocolates in a box. A quarter of the chocolates contain nuts. The rest do not contain nuts. The rest is 3/4. Write down the ratio of the number of chocolates that contains nuts. So nuts to no nuts. A quarter contain nuts, so that's 1 part. And that's 3 parts. How did I get that? Well, if I show you using a diagram, and try and split this into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's just say one of these parts had nuts in it, and the other 3 have no nuts. So as a ratio, I'm comparing parts with parts. So one part had nuts, so this one was nuts, and these are no nuts. No N. Okay, write down the number of chocolates that contains nuts to the number no nuts. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Next question. A is equal to multiples of 5 between 14 and 26. I'm going to stop there and I'm going to write multiples of 5. Means the numbers in the 5 times table from 14 to 26. So we have 15, not 5, 15. We have 20. We have 25, and that's it. B is odd numbers between 14 and 26. So we'll have 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, and that's it. Okay, list the numbers of A union B. A union B is anything that is in A or it's in B. So I just have to write all of these numbers down. 15 occurs twice, so I'll write it down once. 17, 19, 20, 21, 23, and 25 occurs twice, so I'll write it down once. So all of these numbers are there. A intersection B, this is called the intersection, this is called the union. So let me just give you a quick glance of what the union represents and what the intersection represents for those people. I'll draw a Venn diagram here. Can I have blue, please? Let's just say this was A, and then B is a bit bigger, isn't it? So let's just give B a big circle-ish. And A had the numbers 15 and 25 are in both of them, so 15 and 25, and then A would have 20, and then they would be 17, 19, 21, 23, and 25. And I don't want to waste time to redo this bit, so I'm just gonna get this little section here for both the questions. Okay, so that was the Venn diagram I've drawn for both these questions. It's the same Venn diagram, and the first section asks me for A union B, and A union B would be anything in these regions. All of this. That's why I've got all of the numbers down over there. Not anything on the outside, just within the two circles. A intersection B, however, is just this region here. So the only numbers that are there in the intersection is 15 and 25. Okay, and let's go on to the next question. Work out 107 plus 104. So I would start off by converting them into improper fractions. 107 is, so I do 2 times 7 plus 1, that's 15 over 7, and 1 1/4. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 4. Okay, so then I'll start adding them up. 15 over 7 plus 5 over 4. Okay, make the denominators the same, so multiply this by 7, top and bottom, multiply this by 4, so that'll give me 60. 15 times 4 is 60 over 28 plus 35 over 28, and that adds up to give you 95 over 28. You add the two numerators and the denominator remains the same. Okay, 28, 56. So I need to see how many 28s go into 95. So what I'm going to do is on the side I'm just writing my 28 times table. 28, 56, 76, 84. Right, so that'll be 28 goes into 28 times 1 is 28, 28 times 2 is 56, and then 28 times 3 is 84, and I can just confirm that by just multiplying it as a double check. 3 times 8 is 24, carry the 2 over, 3 times 2 is 6, add the 2, 84. So 28 goes into 95 3 times. What I'm doing right now is the bus stop, so 95 on the inside and 28 here. So 28 goes into 95 3 times, remainder 11. So I'll have 3 as a whole number, 11 as your remainder over 28, and that's it. Next. Okay, again 105. 1 times 5 is 5, add 1 is 6, so that's going to be 6 over 5. So I'm going to write it down as 6 over 5 divided by 3 over 4. That's going to be equal to 6 over 5, and then I'll multiply by the reciprocal, so flip it over, 4 over 3. The 3 and the 6 come in the 3 times table, so I'll divide both of them by 3. That goes once and that goes twice. 2 times 4 is 8, and 5 times 1 is 5. And then again the same way, 5 goes into 8 once, remainder 3. So that'll be 1, 3, and the denominator remains the same. Okay, just trying to go through the remaining questions. Question number 20 says, in a village the number of houses and the number of flats are in the ratio 7 to 4. So that's houses and that's flats. The number of flats and the number of bungalows are 8 to 5. So that's flats and bungalows. So I'm going to stop there. Right, so in the first ratio the flats were 7 to 4. In the second ratio the number of flats were 8 to 5. The number of flats is the same, right, in the village. It's not going to change from when comparing one to the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 7 to 4 ratio of houses to flats. I can change it into, if I multiply the 4 by 2, I can change it to 8, which is the same as this, the number, the flats in the second ratio, flats to bungalows. So then 8 and 14. Okay, so okay, we've got that. Now it says, if I look at the flats to bungalows, that's 8 to 5. Okay, it tells me that there are 50 bungalows, so I'm going to write 50, and to go from 5 to 50 I can multiply by 10, so I'm going to multiply this by 10, or you could alternatively do 50 divided by 5, that gives you 10. So there's 80 flats. So if there's 80 flats, I'm going to come back to this ratio. Oops, I forgot to multiply by 2 here. Okay, if there's 80 flats, I need to have 80 down here, which means I need to multiply this by 10, or I could do 80 divided by 10 gives you 8, or 80 divided by 8 gives you 10, whichever way you like doing it. And then I would have to multiply this by 10 as well. So that means there's 140 houses in the village. 140 houses. And that's the answer. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Renee buys 5 kilograms of sweets to sell. She pays £10 for the sweets. Okay, Renee puts all the sweets in the bag. She puts 250 grams of sweet in each bag. Okay, she doesn't get no change back. So 10 pounds divided by 5 is 2 pounds per kg. So there's 2 pounds per kg, that's her cost. Puts all the sweets into bags. She puts 250 grams into each bag. So 5 kilograms is equal to 5 times 1000 grams. I'm converting the kilograms to grams, so that's 5000 grams. And each bag is 250, so number of bags will be equal to 5000 grams. That's the total number, that's the total weight of the sweets, divided by 250. Okay, what I'm gonna do is divide both of them by 10 first. Both of them come in the 10 times table, which is 50 over 25, sorry, 500 over 25, and then I can divide them by 25. So 25 goes into 25 once, and 25 goes into 50 twice, so it'll go into 500 20 times. So the answer will be 20 bags. Well, not the complete answer, that's the number of bags. There's 20 bags, and each is for 65p. So 65, I'm going to multiply by 2 first. That gives me 12, 13, 130. And then I do 130 times 10 is 1300. So that is my answer for 20 times 65, 1300 pence, which is equal to 13 pounds. So I can divide essentially by 100. Renee sells all the bags of the sweets. Work out her percentage profit. So profit percentage, let's work out the profit first. It is going to be the 13 pounds minus 10 pounds, which is 3 pounds. Okay, 10 pounds was the total cost. So profit percentage, to work out the profit percentage, you always divide the profit by the cost price, which is 10 pounds in this case, and multiply by 100. So I can do 300 divided by 10, which is 3 times 100 is 300, divided by 10 is 30%. So she made a 30% profit. Okay, let's move on to the next question. A cycle race across America is 3069.25 miles in length. Juan knows his average speed for his previous races is 15.12 miles an hour. Some difficult numbers here. For the next race across America, he will cycle for 8 hours per day. Oh, it asked me to estimate how many days Juan will take to complete the race. So let's assume this is 3,000 miles. And this is 15 miles per hour. Okay. So how many hours does he need? Do 3,000 divided by 15. I'm gonna write it as a fraction, sorry. Just is so much easier. Okay, and then that will give me 200. because 15 goes into 30 twice, and then they have these two zeros, so that's 200 hours. Wow. And you can say estimate how many days. 200 divided by 8. Do the bus stop. You could do 200 divided by 10 actually, and you could get 20. Let's see what we get. 2 remain, so 8 goes into 20 twice. 16, remainder 4, 25. No, I think 25 is a better estimate. 25 days. Wow. Okay, so that's 25 days, and that's my estimate. Right, let's see next. One trace for the race, the average speed cycles increases to 16.27 miles an hour. How does this affect? So if it was 15.12, okay, yep. So this, how would this affect my answer? So he would take fewer days in this case, and he would take fewer hours, so it would reduce the number of days. 1 second, I'm just gonna pause this. I've just got a slight problem with my pen. Just try and fix it quickly. Give me a second. Okay, so if I look at my answer for part A, I rounded this number to 15 for, you know, ease of calculation. So if it was 16, I would round it to 20. So since just round 16.27 to 20, the number of days would reduce. But this question has more than one answer. So some people could have rounded the 16.27 to 15. If they would round that to 15, then their number of days would remain the same. Both answers are correct. Right, let's go to the next question. Oh, this one's a tricky one. Here is a solid square base pyramid VABCD. The base of the pyramid is a square, side 6 centimeters, and the height of the pyramid is 4 centimeters. M is the midpoint of BC. I see that. Right. And VM is 5 centimeters. Draw an accurate front elevation. Oops. So I need a front elevation here of the pyramid. So the front elevation would look like a triangle with the base of 6. So let's try and draw a triangle with base of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeters, and then we'd go 4 centimeters up from the middle. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 over there. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be like your top, and then draw a line here, and from there, and that's your front elevation, really, for this particular question. It says M is the midpoint over here, so that means this length should be 3 centimeters, and this length also should also be 3 centimeters. Okay, just a few more questions, I believe. Work out the total surface area of the pyramid. So the base was a square. Total surface area, you find the areas of each face and add them up. So the base was a square, which is 6 centimeters side length. So it's 6 times 6, which is 36 centimeters squared. Now the triangle face of the pyramid, we know the base is 6 and the perpendicular height would be 5. So the triangles, the areas are base times height divided by 2. And if I was to draw the triangle, one second, let me just try and draw the triangle. So each triangle face would look like this. So the bottom base was 6 centimeters and the perpendicular height is 5 centimeters. And how do I get that? If I go here, can I see this dotted line? This dotted line here is 5 centimeters. Okay, so that's going to be my base and that's going to be my height. So it'll be 6 times 5 divided by 2, which is 30 divided by 2, which is 15 centimeters squared. But the total surface area is the area of all of the faces. So if I'll go back, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. So all of them are the same. So 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus another 15 and plus the base, which is 36. So that's 15, 30, 45, 60 plus 36 is 96 centimeters squared. That's the area, or total surface area. Okay, next question is 24 and 25, and I think that would be done. Okay, question number 24. A pattern is made from 4 identical squares. Okay, so all these squares are identical. Right, before we continue, what I notice, there's an overlap going up, right? So there's an overlap of these two squares, like tiny bit, but going sideways there's no overlap. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So suppose I call this square side X then this bit also would be another x, then this bit also would be another x, and then the last bit would also be another x. So altogether, if I add them up, that's 4x, right? This coordinate is 38, this one is 6. So if I do 38 minus 6, that gives me 32. So that would mean 4x is 32. So to get x on its own, I divide both sides by 4. Don't know why I used x, I could have used another letter. So 8. So the width of each one is 8. And because they're squares, their height should also be 8, right? Because all sides are equal. So that should be 8. And that should be 8. So if that is 8, and that is 8, those two are 16, right? So 8 plus 8 is 16. This coordinate here is 36. So to get to this coordinate is 36. So to get to that one, I should do 36 take away 16, hopefully. And that gives me 20. And so that's the y coordinate. What about the x coordinate? I haven't even read the question properly yet. 6 add 8 is, because it starts from 6 and we know this is 8, this bit is 8, and that bit is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. 6 plus 16 is 22. Okay, let me read the question now. The sides of the squares parallel to the axis. Point A has coordinates 6, 7. Point B has coordinates 38, 36. Point C is marked on the diagram. Work out the coordinates of point C. We've already done that. 1 second. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Right, is this the last one? No, there's another one. Okay, there's 26. On the grid below, draw the graph of y equals 1 minus 4x for the values of x from minus 3 to plus 3. So I'm going to draw a table of values. Just draw a table of values. Just try and do this as quickly as possible, because I'm okay. Let's get the pen. That's x and y, and then it says minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. I've got some extras. Okay, so when y equals 1 minus 4x, so I'll find the coordinates when x equals minus 3. To get the y value, I'll do y equals 1 minus 4, get rid of the x and replace with minus 3 in brackets. Minus 4 times minus 3 is plus 12, so that'll be 1 plus 12, that is 13. So that's 13. And then when x equals minus 2, try and fit it here. I'm going to show you a few of the working outs, not all of them. We'll see a pattern and then I'll fill it out. So y equals 1 minus 4 times minus 2, and that'll be 1 plus minus 4 times minus 2 is plus 8, so that'll be 9. And I can see that because the gradient is minus 4, it's going down in 4s, so this will be 5, 1 minus 4 is minus 3, minus 7, minus 11, right, because it's going down by minus 4 each time. And I can do that because the numbers at the top are consecutive values. If you're not sure, you just carry on substituting and finding it out. To draw the line, I need to draw the coordinates first, so I'm going to first find out 0, 1, which is this point here. Be careful because 2 squares on the x-axis make a whole, whereas one square on the y-axis makes a whole. So 1 minus 3 would be here, and 2 minus 7 would be here, and then 3 minus 11 would be there, and then minus 1, 5 would be here, minus 2, 9 would be there, and then minus 3, 13 would be here. So I would need to draw a straight line through this. Let's choose what color. Let's just stick with red. I'm going to draw my line through this, and then I'll label it y equals 1 minus 4x. Okay, that's this question done. Last one is question 26. Work out 2a plus b as a column vector. Right, so 2a would be 2 times 5 and 2, which would be equal to 2 times 5 is 10 and 2 times 2 is 4. Now we do 2. That's how you can multiply column vectors. All I have to do is multiply this outside number, 2 with 5, that gave me 10, 2 with 2 gives me 4. Right, the last bit was 2a plus b would be equal to 2a was 10, 4. These are not fractions and they are not coordinates, they are column vectors. Plus b is minus 1 and 7. So you add the top column vector with the top column vector and the bottom column vector with the bottom one. So 10 plus minus 1 will give you 9. Then 4 plus 7 will give you 11. And that's it. So right, 9, 11. It's not a fraction. And that is really it for this paper. Hopefully you can hopefully this walkthrough helps you, and hopefully I can get the other two done as well. Thanks for being patient and watching. A few problems while making these videos, the last one and this one. Thank you for being patient and watching through to the end. All the best for your exams.